these are my top 4 boss players that never quite made it under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. At number 4, we have Wataru Endo. Now, Wataru Endo came in at a period where Jurgen Klopp was expected to go out and splash a lot of money on a defensive midfielder, the likes of Jude Bellingham, the likes of Tchouaméni, who both had rejected Liverpool previously to go to Real Madrid for better money and perhaps better opportunities. But we signed Wataru Endo, and whilst everybody was underwhelmed, Wataru Endo came in, solidified the team, and played a lot of minutes under Jurgen Klopp in a season where we ended up challenging for the title, even though after January we fell off and didn't quite make it. But Wataru Endo played a pivotal role in a season where we needed a defensive midfielder and we couldn't just get the balance of our midfield right because of injuries and because of the style of play that Jurgen Klopp wanted to play. So Wataru Endo, in terms of profile, is an out and right defensive midfielder. He's quite decent on the ball, but his job is just to commit those fouls, make those tackles, and just win the ball back and set the team up for the counter-attack or the attack. Now, the reasons Wataru Endo didn't quite make it, even though he's still at Liverpool, is because of the new style of play under Arne Slot. Now, Arne Slot is looking for a different type of midfielder in the midfield mix, and we've seen the likes of Gravenberch taking that spot and making it his own. So there are already rumors that Liverpool is looking to sell off Wataru Endo either in January or in the summer. At number 3, we have Takumi Minamino, who we signed from RB Salzburg, and Takumi Minamino was quite an interesting player when he came to Liverpool. He had the huge burden of being the player that was going to replace Sadio Mane, and at a period where Sadio Mane was being phased out and ultimately left for Bayern Munich. But Takumi Minamino came in. He was quite a good winger. He could do a lot of the things that Sadio Mane could do, but wasn't as consistent as Sadio Mane in terms of making goals and scoring goals, but also was quite of a utility player under Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp played him in a lot of different positions. He couldn't quite figure out a position and make a position his own and have a long run in the team. So we ended up getting Luis Diaz, who solidified a role, and it was becoming a bit clear that Takumi Minamino wasn't going to be a player for Liverpool, and we ended up selling him off for profit. But in his time at Liverpool, he did play a significant role at a time where Liverpool were still transitioning from Sadio Mane and phasing out forwards such as Bobby Firmino. So he played in the Sadio Mane role. He played sometimes in the Bobby Firmino false 9 role. He played sometimes in the number 10 role when Jurgen Klopp needed him to. And he had very good performances, but not good enough to sustain a starting role at Liverpool FC. He had big moments such as scoring the winning penalty in the Carabao Cup final. Now, the reason he didn't succeed at Liverpool was simply because he was not good enough to become the player that he needed to replace. He was just not filling the shoes that Sadio Mane left at the club, and Liverpool needed to get somebody who was already giving us the output that Sadio Mane was giving us in order for a Jurgen Klopp system to succeed, because the wingers are very pivotal and the goals and assists that they get, because we played with a false 9 at the time, were going to be very essential for Liverpool. Now at number 2, we have Thiago Alcantara. Now we signed Thiago Alcantara from Bayern Munich, quite honestly at the tail end of his career. Now this was an exciting signing for a lot of Liverpool fans, because this is a player that we've watched from Barcelona through Bayern Munich, and we've seen the greatness of Thiago Alcantara. Now, the profile of Thiago Alcantara was that he could play as a 6 and as an 8. And at the tail end of his career, he preferred to play as a 6 more, because he would have more time to make decisions and wouldn't be pressed as much as playing as an 8. Now, he was very good on the ball, had very good awareness of space and awareness of where the other players are around him. So he had a very good sense of finding teammates with defensive splitting passes that not many people could see. But unfortunately, when he came to Liverpool, the ability to make runs and to make tackles, because he preferred to make a very accurate type of sliding tackle that would often win the ball. But because his pace had gone at that time, he wasn't as effective at winning the ball back as he was in his previous clubs. But also, one of the biggest reasons why Thiago Alcantara did not succeed at Liverpool was because of the injuries that he was sustaining simply because of age. Now, Thiago Alcantara spent more time on the sidelines because of injury than he did playing at Liverpool. But when he did play, he was quite exciting to some fans, but quite worrying to other fans. And this is because, as great as of a player as he was, some fans were used to Jurgen Klopp teams not going through midfield when building up play. We're used to the ball going out to the fullback and the fullback going straight to the winger. So we would see Virgil van Dijk passing the ball either to Robertson or to Trent, and Trent would pass it to Mo Salah directly or hit the diagonal across to Sadio Mane, and Robertson would do a similar thing in terms of passing it directly to Sadio Mane or hitting the diagonal across to Mohamed Salah. Now, with Thiago Alcantara in your team, as good on the ball as he is, you need to have passes that go through him. Otherwise, the game is just going to pass him by and you're not going to use the most effective skill that he has, which is finding players with the ball. So the play seemed a bit slower, and a lot of pundits and some fans were saying, no, he's slowing Jurgen Klopp's football down and was not going to necessarily be a match for Liverpool at that time. And because of the injuries and the loss of pace, we didn't get enough time to find out. But I think he was a great baller, but unfortunately the injuries just couldn't let him succeed at Liverpool. And he's currently doing his management training at Barcelona. We've seen him recently visit Anfield as well. Now, at number 1 is a player that you cannot dare say he failed at Liverpool, and that is Divock Origi. Now, Divock Origi is a name that you will say to any Liverpool fan, except maybe for Liverpool fans that were born maybe last year. But any Liverpool fan who watched Liverpool during Klopp's era, most specifically, even though this is a signing that Klopp inherited from the Brendan Rodgers era, Divock Origi was the ultimate super sub, the ultimate clutch player when you needed him the most. And the highlight of his super sub abilities were in games where Liverpool were struggling to break teams down, he would come in and score the goals. And some of the goals would be tap-ins, some of the goals would be amazing, like the scorpion kick that he scored. I think it was in the Carabao Cup. I think it was against Leicester, but like, he would score amazing goals, he would score simple goals. But I think the highlight of Divock Origi's performance at Liverpool was in the game against Barcelona in the second leg at Anfield. Now, a lot of players shined in that game, such as the likes of Gini Wijnaldum and the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, but Divock Origi scored 2 goals in that 4-goal thriller at Anfield. And the most important one, which is one of the greatest goals in Liverpool's history, is the corner taken quickly. Now, if you think corner taken quickly, the next word that comes to your mind is Origi. Now, Divock Origi was a cult hero at Liverpool, was an amazing finisher, amazing player overall, but unfortunately has the same fate as Thiago. He just couldn't stay fit long enough, so he couldn't sustain spells in the team. Most of the time he was coming back from injury, you couldn't play him a lot of minutes, so he would play 1-2 games and be injured again. He had recurring injuries such that he couldn't sustain a slot in Jurgen Klopp's team long term. Now, if Divock Origi had the injury luck and the fitness of a Darwin Núñez, a lot of you would take Divock Origi over Darwin Núñez, even though the difference is the floor for Divock Origi. In fact, the ceiling for Divock Origi is already almost reached because of the injuries, but the ceiling for Darwin Núñez is still quite high because he's still young and there's still a lot of development that's going to happen in his game. Thank you so much for watching this video during this international break. We're gonna make a lot more videos like these, reminiscing and looking forward at what Liverpool is gonna look like under Arne Slot. Please subscribe to the channel and help us grow.